Hey, everybody, and welcome back to Legendary Language Learner. I'm Matthew Boyle, and I'm here today with Leon Icaza from the Language Party. Leon and I met way back when, I don't know exactly when now, maybe a couple of years ago, because we were both super interested in learning languages in social ways with people. Me more so through my games, and Leon more so through language exchanges. He was an attendee for a long time of different language exchanges, and recently he's started and been developing his own language exchange group. That's the Language Party. So if you guys like to learn languages with people, you're really going to enjoy being together with us in this interview today and hearing what Leon has to say. So, Leon, could you give us a little self-introduction and tell us what languages you know and what languages you're learning?
Well, first of all, Matt, I want to thank you for having me on your channel. It's a great experience so far with the collaborations we've had. It's really a neat experience. So my name is Leon Icaza. I'm an electrical engineer, originally from Miami, Florida. About 8 years ago, I moved to Gainesville, Florida, and my passion is learning and studying languages and practicing languages. I'm, as you can all tell, fluent in English. Yeah, yeah, barely, but fluent. Um, English is my native language. Spanish. I grew up in Miami. My parents are from Nicaragua, so in Central America. So I speak Spanish fluently. About 10 years ago, I started learning French, and in the past few years, I've been starting to study Japanese and Chinese, Mandarin Chinese. And I also want to eventually add a sixth language, which would probably be Portuguese, but we'll see.
What drove you to get into learning more languages?
Just really the passion, the interest. I think it's something that really interests me. Just
Mm,
learning about different cultures and obviously first learning the languages, but that comes kind of in a package. Learning about while learning the language, you learn about cultures. You
mhm,
get opportunities to travel and just how different people think and eat and live, and it's just always really fascinated me
mhm.
um, as part of the language learning experience.
Now, you mentioned you're an electrical engineer, and you've told me in the past you've had these super busy periods. So I'm wondering if you can tell us a little bit about how you keep up with language learning when you're busy, when you have a full-time job, because I feel that's what holds a lot of people back after they're done being a student, after they've graduated and they're working full-time, maybe have a family. So what are some of the things that you do?
Um, so as you mentioned, a very busy full-time job. With other responsibilities as well. As I tell people, life happens, right? All kinds of things going on in life, all kinds of responsibilities. But I think the key to everything is from the passion, persistence comes. Just being persistent, even if it's just five minutes a day,
Mhm,
as little as 5 minutes a day. I think to keep the language juices flowing and
mhm,
keep the persistence and keep the language, your target language that you're studying alive. I think that's extremely important. Sometimes sometimes it'll be lucky and we'll get a couple hours in. I'll get a couple hours in of studying or
mhm.
participating in language exchanges or whatever. But sometimes it's literally 5 minutes, and sometimes I have such busy days that the 5 minutes I'm in the bathroom doing my business. That's what I'll use to study a language on all my favorite apps and everything. So I think the big thing is the passion kind of drives the persistence.
Mhm.
So I think it's really important to be persistent and consistent.
So do you tend to have a set time every day when you do language learning, or are you just trying to get it whenever you can, like very opportunistic mindset?
I think it's important to know yourself. I typically do it either before work or after work. Um,
Hmm.
but in those are ideal, I think.
Mhm.
But in the absence of having an organized schedule, I think you try to get it whenever you can.
Mhm.
But I do have ideal times. I think that's really important to know yourself. Hey, okay, in the morning I'm fresh, so it's a good idea for me to dedicate this half an hour to
Yeah.
language learning. Or in the evening, I'm kind of relaxed. Everything is, all the stresses of life have gone away for the day. So some people enjoy it more in the evening. I think it's important to know yourself. And I find myself the time that I excel the most is more morning or evening,
Mhm.
later in the evening, just depending.
Yeah, I appreciate what you say there. That's real because I feel like a lot of the language influencers we watch on YouTube, these people are studying languages 1 or 2 hours like every single day, and they may be showing
Yeah.
it on their videos, and you compare yourself to these people, but that's not real for a lot of people. A lot of people, they have a totally unrelated job, maybe they have a
Oh,
family. I
yeah.
think for most people, it's trying to get, can I get that 5 minutes a day, 15 minutes a day? Can I keep curious? Can I keep interested? That's a more real struggle for a lot of people. So I think we have to
Definitely.
make some
Definitely.
videos about this, like the reality for average people of trying to keep up with languages. Of course, it helps
Yeah.
if you're in the environment, then that supports you. But
100%. That you make a great point, Matt. Being in the environment, being surrounded by
yeah,
friends,
that can help a lot.
native speakers in your target language. Obviously, friends are as passionate about languages as you, and about your
Yeah.
target language. That helps a lot. That's a great point.
How do you keep up with, I mean, how do you like to study languages? Obviously, we're going to get into the language exchange groups, which is a big part of what you do. But how do you actually like to study your languages from day to day? What kind of resources or apps or websites or videos do you like to get into?
Yeah, I think language learning is very multifaceted. I think if you use just one methodology, it can get a little bit boring. So,
Mhm.
me personally, I know people have different ways to practice. Me personally, I love using apps. I have two or three apps that are my favorite that I absolutely love using on the phone. Just my favorites are Rosetta Stone, Drops for vocabulary is really great.
Mhm.
Lingo Deer, stuff like that. Um, watching YouTube videos is great. I think what a resource watching TV
Mhm.
and listening to the radio and even reading. But now, with the internet, the TV watching is you can watch so many different things and so many different languages. It's a really neat resource. But I usually tell people, hey, do practice your language doing something you enjoy. If you enjoy playing video games, hey, play a video game in your target language. If you enjoy playing basketball,
Mhm.
hey, get with some friends, your language is exchanging friends, and play basketball and only use your target language when you're playing it. Always do something that you really enjoy. You would enjoy doing in your native language. Do it
Mhm.
in your target language, because don't do that you don't enjoy, regularly, and try to use it, incorporate it into your language study, because, you'll
Mhm.
if you don't enjoy it when regularly using your native language, how are you going to enjoy it using, a language you're learning? So I really uh, encourage people to really do things, they like using their
Mhm.
language, and look into, there's tons of different apps and TV shows and radio shows. If you'd like to watch reality shows, well, watch a reality show in your native language. I mean, if you don't like knitting, don't think you're going to like knitting while you're studying French. That doesn't work like that. You don't like it in English or your native language, you're just not going to like it in French or Spanish,
That's a
Chinese,
good
whatever
point.
you. Yeah, so
'Cause I think a
it's
lot of people, they try to get into it. They're like, I think I want to learn a language. I never learned a language before. I didn't succeed with it in the past. Let me try to get back into this. And they go back in with the traditional idea they have from the past of how to learn languages, and they don't realize this explosion of options we have now. So again, it comes back to what you said, like know yourself, know your passions, try to learn in a way that suits you. Give yourself a fighting chance, right?
100%. Yeah, that's a great point. Yep.
And you've created a really awesome group. And guys, I'm a follower of this or a fan of this on Facebook or whatever you might call me. I see Leon's posts. I like to. He often posts different language learning videos and different culture videos there. Tell us well, first of all, how did you get into attending these language exchanges? What did they do for you? How did they attract you? What do you do there? And then maybe we can shift into how you decided to start up your own group and how's that going?
Oh, you know, obviously this is all pre-COVID, right? COVID kind of changed everything a bit, but I would attend many in-person language exchanges, and it's a wonderful way to just meet people. First of all, just meet really neat people doing really neat things from all walks of life, and it's just an event where everyone has, even though they're from this different walks of life and all kinds of different people, they have this your which is learning a language. So from that part, it's really extraordinary. It's a really fun social event. I think it's for the most part, it's very positive. A lot of people in these events are doing positive uh, inside and outside of languages. So it's really just a good way to socialize, doing something positive and constructive for the most part in these in-person exchanges. And now, with COVID, obviously a lot of that, once COVID started, there wasn't any meetings in person, but that's just, opened up a whole new realm of opportunities because now
Mhm,
online language exchanges, which have become a lot more popular. And those two things are very important. The in person and the online language exchanges
mhm,
are extremely important because they are two different types of language exchanges that are very important because they offer very things. I mean, the in-person language exchange offers the interaction. You're there, it's language exchange, it's also real social and everything. You get to see who's learning what language in your local community. It's really exciting. You get to meet, like, kind of like the movers and shakers and the people that, in each
uh-huh,
language in your local
uh-huh,
community.
uh,
And with COVID, with the online stuff, I mean, there's no excuses now. You can chat with anyone in the world. I mean, right now, I'm in Gainesville, Florida, here in the United States. You're in Guangdong Province in China. So it's
there we are.
9:36 p.m. in Gainesville, Florida. It's 9:36 a.m. in China, and there's
Yeah.
no stopping it. It's just brings a dynamic to online language exchange that
Yeah.
is very important and a very different way of language exchanging. I mean, you
Uh,
know, I've language exchanged online with, language exchanges in Japan, France, Mexico, Chile, Ireland. It's,
hmm,
it's, it's you know, right from the comfort of your own home. So, if you're struggling in your city or town finding native speakers of your target language, just sit on your couch and get on the internet, and there's a lot of opportunities now with this online, that a silver lining to the cloud of COVID,
hmm.
that in the language exchange world, just the online language exchange has really opened up a lot of opportunities for us to exchange with people from all around the world.
Just so we can get a sense of kind of the magnitude or the number of exchanges you've actually been involved with, how many about would you say that you've been to? I mean, the number that of different organizations you've joined up with to do a language exchange because they're run by different people, right?
Oh
So,
yeah, yeah, definitely,
so
definitely.
so in person, how many different organizations would you say you've been a part of?
I've participated, I'd say, in about a dozen in person. I would say roughly a dozen, without counting them in person.
So these are run by 12 different organizations, you mean?
Correct, correct.
Wow,
Different organizations. So they're
different
out there.
people.
A lot of
Mhm.
times, they don't even know of each other,
Yeah.
but they're definitely out there. in different cities, and even here locally in our area. I've been to a lot, many in the
Uh-huh.
Gainesville, Florida is in the north central sector of Florida, area of Florida, and there's many here in the different cities. I mean, so they're out there a lot of times. They don't know of each other even sometimes, but it's and they all have their own little personality. How could I say, their own language goals, a lot of them,
Hmm.
which sometimes can be different, but it's very cool to meet the different people in these language exchanges. And I think one of my favorite things about language exchanging is the collaboration. The
Hmm.
collaboration. Hey, my group from Gainesville is gonna go exchange one day with your group from Jacksonville. Let's
Hmm.
have this little big language exchange powwow.
Yeah.
That to me is like one of the most attractive and really
Yeah.
fun stuff from the in-person language exchanging, and even on the online language exchanging as well.
Yeah. How many have you been to online in terms of number run by different people or different
I'd say
organizations?
I'd say about maybe 10 to 12. Yeah,
Yeah.
probably about
Amazing.
10 to
So
12.
I really wanted to ask that question because I wanted people to really get a sense of how proactive you are. You really get out there and you join different groups. And
As much as I can.
how over
Time
the
permits, because
yeah, over the years, including in person and online, how many language exchanges do you think you've been to? I mean, just the sheer number of how many times have you gotten on a call or gone to a place?
as far as specific numbers or
Yeah, I
specific.
just mean like a total general number estimate. Have you joined a language exchanges like 100 times or 200
Oh,
times?
I mean, I started doing this maybe about 8 years ago, 7, 8 years ago. So
Those could be hundreds, right? Probably.
yeah, it could be. I'd say, I don't know, 100.
Amazing.
um,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
I really wanted people to understand that and get a sense of that, even if it's just an estimate, because this is really a big part of Leon's life, something he loves to do. So we can really learn from him how it may work for us. Maybe you've never tried it, or maybe it
Yeah.
didn't work super well for you at first. So let's talk to Leon now about what would you say to people who are a little bit introverted or shy, or they prefer to study their languages alone? I actually run into this sometimes with the games where people say, "Yeah, it looks like a cool idea, but I just like to learn languages by myself, and I just study at home, and I've got no one around me." And they have all variety of reasons or excuses. Sometimes they feel like even getting together with other people slows them down a little bit, or it distracts them, or they learn people's mistakes. And there's all variety of reasons people might bring up. So, what have you heard from people about like reasons that are holding them back or what they think is a disadvantage? And how do you turn these people around? How do you encourage them to join? What would you say to people right now who are listening and thinking they might be a little interested to try this, but they're not really sure how?
Just do it. I mean, I've heard every excuse in the book. I don't even want to repeat them. Those shouldn't even be repeated.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
I've
yeah.
heard every excuse in the book, and sometimes even you know, um, in my mind, certain things. Oh, am I? Do I have enough time? Is it worth it?
Yeah, yeah,
But just be just and it's a lot of fun. You meet a lot of interesting people. I mean, I've met exchanges that I've come eh, eh, I've met them here in the United States, and I've actually visited them in their countries, in their native country, because we became friends, and
wow. So
so
cool.
no, I'd say, hey, just go. It's a lot of fun. It's something positive. And to tell you, if what I tell people, if you can dream it, you can do it. Anyone, whether you're, I have language exchange with high school students, college students, master students, PhDs, young professionals, or people in their retirement, professionals, all kinds of things, all
Mm,
kinds of people, and anyone can pick up this hobby, and it can help you in so many ways. I mean, just really, you got to be have the passion, have the passion, be hungry for it.
mhm.
The more effort, the more effort you put into it, the more payback you're gonna have, really. So
Hmm.
I'd say just go for it. It's really fun. You meet all kinds of different peoples, and you learn all kind about different cultures and traveling and all kinds of neat things. I mean, I've learned, and people I've met
Hmm.
in this in these language exchanging communities. It's just really wonderful, and you don't realize it until you go out and do it. Just
Uh-huh.
do it. And if you're shy, I mean, I kind of say for people that are shy, because that's one of the big reasons. Oh, I'm just too shy.
Uh-huh.
I'm
Right.
I'm
Yeah.
embarrassed because I don't speak, that well.
Right. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
go for it. I mean, um, you know, language learning in itself is multifaceted. You got,
Yeah.
you know, you whether use a textbook, an app, a computer program, um, whatever you use, that's all fine and necessary to whatever you're comfortable with in learning a language. But part of the multifaceted way of learning a language is actually using it, going
Hmm.
out and using it
Hmm.
with
Hmm.
other people that are learning your language.
Hmm.
Obviously, I think the number one goal is of everyone is to be able to speak with a native speaker of their target language. So I mean, you know, and I tell people, oh, people tell me, "Oh, I'm scared to make a mistake." You have to erase that thought out of your mind. Take
Yeah.
the
For
eraser,
sure.
take
For
the
sure.
eraser,
Yeah.
and erase it out of your mind, because that's
Absolutely.
just that's part of learning. I mean,
Yeah.
there's to
Oh
make
yeah.
those mistakes. Okay, all right, okay, I pronounced it this way, but it was wrong. Um, is 100% part of the learning process in a language while you're using it.
Mm.
And it also makes for, some of those mistakes actually make for great stories.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
remember I went to Martinique in the Caribbean, the island of Martinique in the Caribbean, and French speaking country. It's a French territory. Uh, I was everyone on me, and I was like, okay, this is what I wanted. Kind of like game time. Put my game face on,
Yeah. Yeah.
and practice the French. And I remember I walked up to a cafe. It was a little after lunch, and I asked, can I have a coffee? And she asked me, "Vous avez des monnaies?" And I was like, which means, "Do you have change?" But I interpreted that as, "Do you have money?" And I was like, "Yeah, of course." In my head, I was like, "Yeah, of course I have money." Yeah, yeah, of course. Oui, 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 oui. I said. She said,
Ah.
"Vous avez des monnaies?" And I said, "Oui, oui, 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 bien sûr. Yes, 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 of course." And so she serves me my coffee, gives me my coffee, and then she asked for me to pay. And I take out, I think I had the largest euro bill they had, like it was like 100. And she was like, ah, she just started, yeah, vous êtes le pire, vous êtes le pire. You're like, you're the worst, you're the worst. And I was like, at first I was like in shock because she was going crazy, all these hand signals and everything. But then, then I thought, hey, vous avez des monnaies. I'll never forget that term now in my
Exactly.
life. And
Exactly.
and
Exactly.
it's funny to me now. It's like, oh my God, I translated something, I translated it wrong, but now by making that mistake, I'll never forget it. I'll never forget that phrase, what the context of that phrase and what it means.
Uh-huh.
Or like in a language exchange I was in here in Gainesville, we were practicing Spanish. I was helping some people practice Spanish, and two people got into a conversation of, oh my God, my Spanish is so bad. Mi español es el peor. And I was like, and they were having this argument about how
Mhm.
bad their Spanish was in Spanish. And I was
Uh-huh.
like, after 5 minutes of them going back and forth, I was like, you guys do realize you're having this argument in Spanish, and most people can't even, have this argument in Spanish. Be proud of yourself. But they were like going back to, yo soy malo, soy el peor, and just it's really funny. So on top of it being necessary, it also is great storytelling in the end. It's experiences you have that you'll never forget. In a lot of
Yeah.
instances.
And we should remember that most of the types of people that are going to be at these language exchanges are the types that will support you and laugh with you through these kinds of mistakes. So people
Correct,
might say
correct.
like, on top of making mistakes, I don't want to make them in front of other people at a language exchange, but that's where you're going to find some of the most encouraging people ever.
Yeah, yeah. There's a lot, as a community that really is support group, always
Yeah, everybody may be feeling
positive.
that way.
Yeah, I'd say 99% of the time, or a high
Mhm.
percentage of the time, language exchanges are very supportive because just like you're trying to learn a language, maybe they're trying to learn your target language and you're trying to learn their target language. They know, okay, maybe I'm trying to learn French. I'm going to say something wrong, some grammar wrong or something. You know,
Mhm.
they want to be corrected, and they're willing to correct you in a nice, constructive
Yeah.
way, because they kind of want the same treatment, to be
Mm.
corrected in a, positive, constructive way.
Mhm.
So yeah, definitely.
Now let's talk about your group for a while, the Language Party. How did this idea come about and how's it going?
Well, it's just it came about out of just how passionate people are about this. Most of our members are, like I said, in the north central Florida sector area. So
Uh,
between Gainesville and Jacksonville are most of our members, and they're really participants. There's really, no real set membership. You just, come to one of the, right now they're mostly online events, every second and fourth Saturday of the month, from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we also have a sister group called French Anyone, which the language party practices, several different languages, and French Anyone is our sister group that obviously is just French.
mhm.
But yeah, I mean, just its birth was just out of passion, just absolute passion and hunger, and just are so driven,
Yeah.
to learn these languages and practice these languages. And just, people will say, oh, how did you pronounce that? Or, just like real, just passionate. I mean, all the members are very busy, and all the participants are very busy. They're all professionals with careers, students,
Mhm.
all kinds of
Mhm.
stuff. But when they're there participating, whether it's online or in person, they're just really passionate. If I could sum up what the language party is, it's passion. It's a celebration of languages, cultures, and travel. I mean, just
Mhm.
it's
Mhm.
just an absolute celebration. And I think that's of all, in my language exchanges experience throughout the year, that's what, every time I show up, 9 times out of 10, it's like a celebration. It's
Mhm.
like,
Mhm.
where are you
Mhm.
from? And you just, you see
Yeah,
people's
yeah, yeah.
eyes light up. Or
Yeah.
just, I mean, I think the biggest high for someone in a language exchange is seeing a person like Matthew Boyle, someone from the United States that maybe, speaks some Chinese. Oh, wow, that's not supposed to happen. We're making the impossible possible. Wait a minute, supposed to happen. Or, people, here from the United States that speak French, Spanish, Chinese, Japanese. It's not supposed to happen. They've,
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah,
think
yeah.
just in general, people's mindsets are like, well, that's not supposed to happen. Someone from the United States isn't supposed to speak Japanese. Well, why not? Where's that rule written? I want to see it. So,
Yeah.
just making the impossible possible, celebrating that celebration just is just palpable when you walk into these language exchanges. Or now, when it's mostly because of COVID, but when you go you, when you're online with these people, the passion is just palpable, and
Mm.
it's really inspiring. And sometimes, uh, I'm tired from work, tired from whatever, and I'll get on one of these language exchanges online, or and it's like I feel rejuvenated. I'm like, oh, what?
Uh-huh.
I was tired 10 minutes ago. I don't even remember that. So it's just really, I think, to sum it up, a celebration of languages, culture, and travel, and just the group, that participates in the language party is just absolutely so focused and hungry and
Mm.
interested, and just, from the heart, super interested and motivated and passionate about language learning, and language exchanging, and learning about cultures and travel and food, and everything associated with it's really a wonderful thing. It's really just a celebration. That's why, when me and the co-organizer were thinking of a name, I was like, we got to name this the language party. It's just a celebration every time. It's like I've never showed up to a language exchange. It's like, oh, this is depressing. Let me go. No, no, it's
Yeah.
people are talking and hugging and no, how did you pronounce that? What's your name? Where are you from? Just
Yeah.
it's just a lot of fun, really, and it's just
That's
a
what I
celebration.
that's something I had to remember to say, which is I love the name of it. The name perfectly encapsulates that feeling. And when you see it, when you see your posts, and obviously when you get into the room with your people, that is the feeling. So I wish more people could try this, and especially try it with you. You mentioned kind of getting blindsided by people's abilities sometimes. Can you tell us a little bit about maybe some of the interesting people? I mean, obviously, we don't have to mention their names, but some of the interesting people, where they have come from, what languages they spoke in your group, the language party. Any interesting stories there?
Uh,
Any
I,
obscure languages or?
I think just just like I say, making the impossible possible. I mean, you know, we have speakers, people born here in the United States, Japanese. We
Uh-huh.
have people that speak Chinese. We have, you know, a lot of our members have a good level of French, and everyone's experience is it's unique and special because they've
Hmm.
all one thing that everyone has in common is they all have learned the language in a different way. They all have a
Hmm.
nuance. It's not you go to these language exchanges or to the language party of online event or in-person event, and you it's not everyone just doesn't say, okay, yeah, we studied in a textbook. No, they all have different experiences.
Hmm.
Some have,
Hmm.
some immigrated from another country and had to learn, a language. Some people, studied it as a major, in for their university. Some people, because they, were doing their master's or their PhD degree, they had to learn a language because they were gonna, do seminars and things related to their degree in other countries, or do internships in other countries. So it's really interesting. All kinds of You meet all kinds of people, and with a lot of language skills, and like I say, just what people say, oh, it's impossible,
Yeah.
isn't, just as long as you put the effort in. Say it's One thing I'll say is you have to put the effort in, but
Mm.
the other thing I'll say is it's fun. The journey is definitely a lot of fun. I think it's wonderful, you know, seeing someone that isn't supposed to speak a language speaking a language. I remember. I'll give you a good example. I met a young lady a few years ago, here in a language exchange in Gainesville, where she was originally from Japan, and she spoke French and Spanish. I don't even think she spoke English. That just So where do from Japan, you speak French and Spanish? I don't think I've ever seen that combination. Is a native Japanese speaker, but
Yeah.
speaks French and Spanish, at a high level.
Mm.
Just all kinds of people with language goals. A lot of people in these language exchanges are doing sign language, Esperanto.
Hmm.
I haven't met too many Native American, but some of them are doing Native American languages. For travel, a lot of things for travel, and obviously there's some languages you see more often. The
Hmm.
French, Spanish, Portuguese, Russian, Mandarin, Chinese, Japanese. But then you see some other ones that aren't as common. Basque, Esperanto, stuff like that. So it's definitely inspiring.
Yeah, that's super encouraging and inspiring. I hope people are listening to this and realizing there's a variety of ways you can come at this. You might be a student, you might be retired, you might be, maybe you've been learning that language because of a job obligation. Maybe you moved, and there's so many different reasons why you might be in this
Oh,
flow, and
100%.
you might be at a variety of levels. It doesn't matter because, like you said, you're all united by the passion for language learning and just self-growth and helping others.
Yeah,
So
and
that's
I
really
mean,
encouraging.
it's at the our fingertips on the computer. You can sign up for a class in person. You can sign
Mhm.
up for a class on the computer. We got apps, we got, computer programs, you have books, a slew of things
Yeah.
of tools that, hey, what do I need to become a language learner? Pick up a book, turn on your computer. That's it.
Yeah.
You're a language learner. You're a
Get
language
into it.
student.
Get
It doesn't
into it.
take more than how long does your computer take to turn on? 10 seconds. How long does it take for you to put your passcode in your cell phone? 3 seconds. So you can be
Yeah.
a language learner within 3 seconds. Um, so
So
it's just
let me ask you this. What does the future of the language party look like for you? What are some of the goals you have for this year and next?
uh, I just I really think that grow the group. Obviously, um, this is something we started in times of COVID.
Mm,
Right now it's all online for the most part. Um, and no, I think grow this group and um, have fun, grow the group, um, promote language learning and new new participants to see the enjoyment of language learning. To a point where I want our region of the country, when they say, okay, North Central Florida, I want to say, hey, that's ground zero of that's a language learning hub or a language
yeah,
exchange
yeah.
hub of the United States.
That's awesome.
Just I think with the passion I see, even with the limited time people have, with the passion I see,
Mm,
this isn't just me. This is people asking me, hey, can you do a language exchange online? I want to practice. I'm interested in this. I'm interested in that. These are people constantly telling me that. So with the passion I see, there should be no reason. It should, this should grow into something where our region of the country, our region of North Central Florida it will be, on the map as one of the premier
mhm.
language exchange areas in the country and maybe even in the world.
That's fantastic. Now, I want to ask you two final questions. Um, what advice would you have for someone who is interested to start their own language exchange or their own sort of language meetup group? What does it take?
Uh, it takes two people and a meeting place. That's it. That's it.
Awesome.
That's what I say. It's very simple. It's very simple. Just two people and a place to meet, whether it's in person or online. You know, uh, Obviously we're still in times of COVID, so the in
Mm,
person is still a little bit difficult. Although I think it's we're starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel. But
mhm,
I mean, just as easy it is to be a language learner, I think
mhm.
it's just as easy to do a language exchange. You just need two people, and you know there's all kinds of apps online that I've used that be talking with someone in China as fast as you can download the app.
Mhm, mhm.
So on your phone. So it really doesn't take much effort to really get some good practicing. Um, so it's not hard at all. Just
I,
there's a lot of interest in it.
I
So
love your emphasis on taking that one simple, straightforward step. All you need is one person to get it started. People,
yeah,
they're imagining something so intense that they don't even get started. So, and I
yeah, no,
think
and
a similar way with my language learning and also with the card games is, have a big dream, but also know how to take a small step and just,
correct,
get going.
correct. Yeah, if you can dream it, you can do it. And progress, whether you make 5 minutes of a day or 5 hours of progress in a day, both of them are progress.
Mm,
So you got to be consistent with that and just keep taking, you know, some days will be baby steps and some days will be big strides, but you just got to keep taking them. take what you can get, because some days are going to be great, and some days you're going to be able to knock out 3 hours of French practice, using your favorite app, or watching your favorite YouTube video, or listening to your favorite uh, for a multitude of reasons. But the real emphasis, I have to say, is be consistent, be persistent, and have your passion lead that,
Mm.
and have fun with it, just because it's just a lot of fun.
You just answered my last question, so we'll
Did
leave
I?
it at that.
I did the answer before the question. I read your mind.
That was my last question, was a critical piece of advice to people generally who want to get into language learning. So obviously, guys, you can hear from Leon today. Be consistent, be passionate. If you can dream it, you can do it. Be opportunistic, get it however you can, whenever you can. And these are all things that I agree with wholeheartedly. This is what has worked for me. I never succeeded when I was beating myself over the head, being, just, I don't know, approaching things too strictly and too formulaically. It worked much better for me when it was fun and when I did it in the way that I liked. So, as you can see, this is why Leon and I gel, and this is why we like to support each other's work. You can see the bird on his wall there, the legendary language learner bird. I
That
like
didn't happen by mistake. That didn't happen by mistake. We like your product, Matt. We really support what you're doing. We think it's pretty neat what you're doing, and unique.
this is why I want to have you on my channel, though, and for people to meet you and maybe join up with the language party, because, and I'm sure people can feel it now through this interview, Leon is a ball of energy, super enthusiastic, super encouraging. So if you're thinking of not only learning a language, but maybe learning through an exchange group, I think you should definitely check out Leon and check out the language party on Facebook or on Meetup. I'll put the links down below. Leon, thank you so much for coming on. This was awesome.
Matthew, this was a lot of fun. I hope to do it again, and we're gonna keep supporting what you're doing, because we really like it. We really think it's neat, unique, and positive. So we're all about that, in this language exchanging and language learning community. So keep up the good.
I appreciate it, my friend. Thank you so much. All right, guys, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and don't forget to share this video out with to people who are interested in language exchanges. Bye-bye.